Good morning, everybody. It's Sandra here on Ridge Greenhouses, coming to you live in the greenhouse on a very bright morning. So great to see the sunshine, and the forecast for positive temperatures is a definite win. Wanted to talk to you today about a few things. First, I thought I would just touch base on vegetable gardening. The age-old question, is it safe to plant my gardens yet? It's always use your best judgment, because not all temperatures are the same everywhere. Depending how close you are to the lake, it might affect your overnight temperatures. You want to have consistent temperatures overnight of 6 to 8 degrees or higher. But I'll let you in on a little secret. Although I can't guarantee you that it's safe to plant your garden yet, I did plant mine. So take that for what it is. If we get a cold frost, I'm going to be replanting it. But I was brave enough to plant some stuff last night. So I actually did a little video about planting my beans. So I've had a lot of questions from new gardeners this year. So if you're a seasoned vegetable gardener, you're going to have to forgive me, because I'm just going to back up a little bit and make sure that we all start on the same page. We plant our garden, my garden at home. I plant my garden with a mixture of plants and seeds. So my plants I always get from the greenhouse are tomatoes, peppers. Sometimes I get my squash pre-started, but not always. Sometimes I plant the seeds right in the garden. Same thing with my cucumbers. Sometimes I get them started. Sometimes I plant them in the garden. I grow a large garden because I have a large family, and I save a lot of my food for the winter. So I always plant my beans from seed, my carrots, my beets, potatoes. I'm trying to think of what else I grow. Maybe I said beets already. Lettuce. Spinach, that sort of stuff. I grow those from seeds that I direct seed into my garden. I don't start that stuff in my house. As far as other plants that I get at the greenhouse, broccoli would be another one I would pick up here, cauliflower, kale probably, because I only really want one kale. I don't want a whole package of kale seeds. That's way too much kale for me. So that sort of thing. Anyways, so last night we do sell some of those vegetables here as started vegetables. Primarily because if you're growing a smaller vegetable patch, like maybe a raised bed, you only want 3 or 4 bean plants. So buying a whole package of seeds seems kind of silly. And sometimes you also want to have that start ahead from the greenhouse. But if you are going to plant from seeds, you can start direct seeding pretty much everything at this point. So I did a little video about my beans. So if you just hold on a second here, I think I've got it ready to go. Hey there, so I thought I'd just do a quick video about planting beans in your garden. We do have started plants at the greenhouse as well, but if you purchase seeds because you're going to do a fair bit of vegetable gardening, all I do is I have a couple sticks with string on so I can keep my rows nice and straight. I use my hoe and I make a little trowel, and then you can see here, we just lay the bean seeds in, every 4 or 5 inches apart, and then when we get them all laid in, we just kind of cover them up like that. And that's really as simple as it is. And then we just keep the strings in until they've all germinated and popped up so that we know where they are and we don't step on them in the meantime. Okay, so pretty simple stuff. And you can direct seed pretty much everything like that. Beets, carrots, spinach. Oh goodness, what else am I missing? Peas, anything like that. The directions on the package will tell you about spacing. If you happen to overseed, you can thin out if you need to. So that's always an option as well. I never have thinned my beans. I always thin my radishes, sometimes thin my carrots and my beets, because the seeds are really, really tiny and they get planted too close together and they crowd each other out. But that's a bit up to you, your judgment. So that's about vegetable gardening. Just wanted to touch base on that. I did plant my tomatoes last night. I'm being brave. If I have to replant them if we get some frost, I guess I will, but I'm really got my fingers crossed that we're in the clear now. I planted about 6 tomato plants, which is quite a lot. Just so you know, you get a lot of tomatoes out of 6 tomato plants. My favorites are the Mountain Series tomatoes, because I have had problems with tomato blight and they're blight resistant. So I usually plant a couple of Mountain Fresh, and I planted a couple of Mountain Majesties this year. I also really like the Rapunzel cherry tomato, as well as I planted a Jolly Girl, I think. Anyway, I planted a couple cherry tomatoes and 4 or 5 large tomatoes. Oh, and I always plant one Oxheart because that's my husband's favorite. It's a heirloom tomato. It's just a little bit different tasting, a little different flesh, so I always plant one of those as well. So that's my little spiel about vegetable gardening for this morning. Now, I wanted to talk to you a little about Mandevilla vines. I see that somebody asked if we have any left. Honestly, we have some in 4-inch pots. I know that. I'm just looking around the greenhouse. There might be a few left, but our selection is very, very low. But I have had some emails from people who bought them right when they first came in early May. So that means they've had them in their house for the better part of 3 weeks, maybe not quite, but just about 2 weeks for sure. And they're having some issues with them. I actually have a picture I'm going to show you. It's really hard to diagnose what exactly is going on, but there's a few things at play, I think. So this is my picture here, and you can see this leaf has turned yellow. That is a pretty common sign to me of spider mite. Spider mites are so tiny that you really can't see them to the naked eye. You have to use a magnifying glass, and even then you really kind of need to know what you're looking for. A sign besides those yellow leaves would be you might see some really tiny little cobwebs. Like spider mites are super small, so their cobwebs are really small as well. And unfortunately, that is not that uncommon when you have a plant that is meant to be outdoors in the house for a long period of time. So Mandevillas, you're going to have a hard time keeping them looking good in the house. So that's the first problem. But it's been too cold. So it's like, oh, either you freeze it or you keep it indoors and deal with that. So at this point, you should be putting your Mandevillas outside. If you have had it in the house this whole time, if you take it from your house into full sun today, that's too much. You're going to shock it. It's going to be really hard on your plant. So on a nice day, you need to get it, like transition it more slowly. So maybe today you're going to leave it under a shade tree or under a covered porch and just kind of gradually ease it into the full sun, okay? Mandevillas definitely would love full sun, but it's just such a change if it's been in your house for an extended period of time. There are many home remedies you can find online for dealing with spider mite. If you want to try that route, for sure, rinsing it off with a hose, obviously not a fire hose strength, but if you've got a pretty good pressure on your garden hose, that would be ideal to rinse off all your leaves. Then there's also some options if you want to try, if you think you do have a spider mite issue. I did last year on my hibiscus, actually. I had spider mite, and it seems like it lingered. I had a really hard time getting rid of my spider mite last year. I ended up using a horticultural oil, which is concentrate. I mixed it with water and sprayed it on. It's a natural product. So this is a great option. It used to be neem oil, and I don't believe it is anymore, but it's a natural product still. And you can mix it in a spray bottle, spray it like very liberally on your plants, and that will really help with all kinds of insects, but definitely spider mite. The other option is if that's not working or you don't want to try that, we have other chemical products that are meant specifically for dealing with spider mite and other pests. So that's another option for you as well. It really just depends a little bit on your comfort with using those products and also how big of a problem you have with spider mite. The pictures that I received, there was only a few leaves, so it's not a huge issue yet. Like the plants, it's still got most of its foliage. There's just some yellowing in the leaves, so that tells me that there's still lots of time to correct it. It's not going to be an instant fix no matter what you do. It's going to take probably a couple weeks for you to see a full turnaround in your plant at least. And a lot of these products, they'll recommend that you use them at least, I think, weekly or bi-weekly for several uses, just to make sure that if there's any eggs that you missed or anything like that, that it gets the new plant, the new bugs that might be hatching. So that's something to consider. Once you get your Mandevillas outside and you get rid of that problem, they're worth the effort. So I really encourage you to stick with it because they are beautiful plants. You can't get a better display in the summer, but they are a little bit finicky, especially if you've kept them in the house for a while. So I'll encourage you to just hang tight and keep working with your Mandevillas. The other thing I wanted to tell you today as part of our broadcast is we are going to be turning off our online store on Saturday at 4 o'clock, at least temporarily. The inventory in the greenhouse has changed so rapidly this week. We're really having a hard time keeping up with our online orders and having people get what they've actually ordered. Because sometimes, so how it works here, we only have one greenhouse for the online shopping as well as the in-store shopping. So our online orders are collected in the morning between 7 and 10 a.m. before we open to the public. So if you order today, your order is not going to get picked until tomorrow morning between 7 and 10. But what could happen is that somebody comes in and shops between now and 6 p.m. And so what you ordered actually isn't even here anymore. And unfortunately, we have no other way to do this because we only have so much greenhouse space. So we're doing the best we can. We certainly are refunding people if they've ordered something that is no longer available when it comes time for them to pick up. But we really hate disappointing people. So we're going to be turning off our online store on Saturday at 4 o'clock. So everything that's ordered up until then will still be picked up in the regular schedule. So Saturday orders will get picked up on Sunday. And then we're going to reevaluate, try to figure out if we have enough inventory left to continue the online store, or if we'll be moving just to phone in only. So we certainly recognize that there are some people who either aren't comfortable shopping or maybe shouldn't be shopping because of various health concerns. And we will always, try to accommodate that the best we can with phone ordering if we don't have our online store available. So we're doing our best for you. The greenhouse still has lots of flowers. It's just that some colors of some things are running out, or certain pot sizes or things like that. So it makes it really hard to have online ordering accurate, but there's still lots of beautiful stuff here for you to come and shop with. We do ask you to be patient with us when you get here. We are open from 10 till 6. Every day for May for sure, and then we're going to go from there. It seems 2020 is the year of change, so we're going to take it one day at a time, and that's what we'll be doing for the rest of May. Appreciate all your support and all the great comments you've given us. Keep your questions coming, and I'll keep answering them as long as I can. Thank you so much, and have a great day, folks.